Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. US President Donald Trump has said that American forces have obliterated targets on Iran's crown jewel, what is called Kharg Island. Yes, I'm going to spell it out so that the viewers it's clearer for the viewers. Kharg, Kharg Island, which is a small island, and Trump has warned that island's oil facilities could be the next target. Now, the island is a key player in Iran's oil network as it hosts the main terminal that manages the country's oil exports. Now, the strikes have targeted military sites on Kharg Island but have avoided the energy facilities. Now, here is a difference which needs to be understood, that the military sites have been targeted, not the energy facilities which are located there. Now, this appears to serve as some sort of a warning to Iran and signals that the US could be prepared to hit parts of the country's energy infrastructure, something Trump had previously tried to avoid. Now, if you look at the post put out by Donald Trump on Truth Social, Abhirami, if you are there backstage and if we have that Truth Social tweet put out, he's very clearly said, and I'm going to read out the whole tweet, which will give you a sense that it is almost like a threat. And he says that I'm going to attack the oil infrastructure if you don't open up the Strait of Hormuz. Now look at the language. I'm going to read it out. Moments ago, at my direction, United States Central Command executed one of the most powerful bombing raids in the history of the Middle East and totally obliterated every military target in Iran's crown jewel, Kharg Island. Our weapons are the most powerful and sophisticated that the world has ever known. But for reasons of decency, I have chosen not to wipe out the oil infrastructure on the island. However, should Iran or anyone else do anything to interfere with a free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, this is where I said that it almost looks like a barter. That he's saying that here you open the Strait of Hormuz, otherwise your oil infrastructure gets attacked. I will immediately reconsider this decision. During my first term, and currently I rebuilt our military into the most lethal, powerful, and effective force by far anywhere in the world. Iran has no ability to defend anything that we want to attack. There is nothing they can do about it. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, nor will it have the ability to threaten the United States of America, the Middle East, or for that matter, the world, Iran's military, and all others involved with this terrorist regime would be wise to lay down their arms and save what's left of their country, which isn't much. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump. Now let's understand why this Kharg Island attack is important. Now, I'll just give you a brief of where this Kharg Island is, and then I'll play out certain graphics which are very important for the viewers to know. Now, Kharg Island lies 16 miles. We can have those maps, Abhirami, if you're there backstage, so that the people have an idea of what we are talking about. Now, where is this Kharg Island? Kharg lies 16 miles, which is 26 kilometers off Iran's coast, roughly 300 miles, which is about 483 kilometers northwest of the Strait of Hormuz. It functions as the export terminal for 90% of oil's shipments. So that's where the significance of Kharg Island lies. And I'm going to repeat that Kharg Island functions as the export terminal for 90% of Iran's oil shipments. Now, Tehran has kept exporting the crude oil even as other Gulf producers stopped the shipments due to fears of Iranian attacks. Satellite images examined by tankerstrackers.com showed several very large crude oil tankers loading at Kharg Island very recently. And Iran, what we are told is that has exported between 1.1 million and 1.5 billion barrels per day from February 28th since the war began. Now let's play out some graphics to show you as to why Kharg Island is vital to Iran. Can we have that graphics play out to show why Kharg Island is important? Now, let's understand this. Now, Kharg strategic importance and a declassified CIA note from 1984 has described island's oil facilities as the most vital part of Iran's petroleum system, crucial for the country's economy and its war campaign against Iraq. The island has ample oil storage which are connected to the island. They are also linked by sea to several of Iran's biggest oil and gas fields. Now, what happens? Crude oil reaches the terminal from three large offshore fields, and I'm going to name them: Abuzar, Faruzan, and Darud. And from there, it travels through an underwater pipeline system to processing plants on land before being stored or shipped to international markets. Now, it also houses three energy facilities which are run by the Iranian Oil Ministry. One of them is Falat Iran Oil Company, and it produces 500,000 barrels of crude oil daily and is viewed as the biggest among the country's four main producing refineries. And this is what I'm quoting from the New York Times. That's where Kharg Island becomes very vital. Now, what the attack? I'm going to play out another set of graphics for you, which will show that what the attack on Kharg means. Now, if you've heard the energy experts across the channels and across the social media platforms which they are talking about, they have warned that any strike, since the time this Kharg Island attack has happened, they warned that any strike on civilian facilities of the island or a takeover of the site could push the global prices higher, even higher. Now, many have said that the island was designed to handle about 90% of Iran's oil shipments. And if the island is seized or destroyed, it could, in theory, take out a significant ability of Iran to export oil. And that's what they live off. And many feel that it will be very difficult for Iran if they lose control of Kharg. The country would struggle to operate, even though the island is not a military or a nuclear site. So this is why Kharg Island is very important. But the questions we are asking, that is this attack on Kharg Island, is it an indicator of Trump's desperation? Is he running out of options? That is question number one. Secondly, is this a big turning point in the Iran-Israel war? What is going to be the impact on the world economy, and especially countries like India? Are we going to be affected by this attack on Kharg Island? And till now, Donald Trump has threatened that it's an attack on the military assets, not on the oil infrastructure. So will Trump go ahead and seize the oil infrastructure or destroy the oil infrastructure at Kharg Island as well? Can he do that? All these questions are staring at everyone's mind. Joining me this evening is former diplomat KP Fabian. So thank you so much for joining. We have Professor Aftab Kamal Pasha, Middle East expert, international affairs expert and diplomat. So thank you so much for joining. And I'm going to begin with Mr. KP Fabian. Mr. Fabian, how do you see this attack on Kharg Island? How crucial is this? Does it really, if it is attacked, if the oil infrastructure is attacked, then does it bring Iran almost on the knees?
Thank you for a very professional background. You have given us a geography, and you have quoted extensively from President Trump's tweet. So let's go back to his tweet. What did he say? He said that he's doing it in order to make sure that there is free and peaceful passage through the Strait of Hormuz, correct? Now, some time back, he had said that he was going to arrange for naval escort for ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Has he done that? No. Can he do that? Well, I doubt it, because even if he were to offer that, tell me, you as someone who has chartered a tanker, would you like to get into the crossfire between Iran and the United States? Or how about your crew, your captain and the crew, and what is being transported? So that was, if I may say so, a harebrained idea. Now, having, it seems, realized that it is a harebrained idea, President Trump has now done what you have described. Now, he claims that he has destroyed only the military facilities. He has not touched the oil facilities. Now, I do not know, given the situation, whether he could have avoided touching the oil facilities.
Okay, so are you indicating that the oil infrastructure also could have been damaged?
highly possible. So
Okay.
that is why I agree with, you said, you asked me whether it's a desperate measure on its part. Indeed. In fact, the whole project is desperate. As I have maintained elsewhere, it is Netanyahu's war into which he has successfully roped in Trump. And Trump, as Professor John Mearsheimer said, has walked into a war which he cannot win.
You're clearly saying that this is a desperate move by America. Now, let me come to Professor Pasha. Professor Pasha, how big and how significant is this attack on Kharg Island? And were you also, as an international affairs expert, preempting that, if push comes to shove, level where the entire spine of the oil lifeline of Iran is going to be hit like this?
Thank
Yes,
you for inviting me. Can you hear me?
yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
yeah. You see, the island, as you have shown, the visuals, is a relatively small island, and most of the space is occupied by the pipelines, the storage tanks, and other necessary infrastructure. They maintain a small garrison there, have been there long back. But it is not of much significance what Donald Trump claims that he has knocked out the military facilities. It is mainly the soldiers with light arms and some cantonments for their camps, so on and so forth. They have not stationed any planes or ships or airfields or any of the military infrastructure which they have on land. So Donald Trump is actually bluffing the world that he has knocked off the military facilities on the island. It is a rocky island, and it is not suitable for any military operations. Like you have the other Iranian islands of Abu Musa, Tums, and Greater Tums. Uh, so this Kishma Island also is there, but compared to all of these Iranian islands, this island has been primarily for the export of oil, storing of oil, and the huge oil tankers, because of the depth of the sea there around. These huge tankers can come and load and find their way through the Strait of Hormuz. You see, I find it very strange that President Donald Trump and his Secretary of State claim that if regime change is achieved and if Iran is having a new leader or willing to work with us after Khamenei, you see, if they destroy the Kharg terminal and oil facilities, the claim by America that they control 30%, they would control 30% of Venezuela and Gulf oil, would be a mockery of what they are saying. If they really want to cripple or strangulate Iran, and through Iran, China, this one can understand. But in a way, it will only increase the oil prices in the global market, and already the situation of lack of gas from Qatar has accelerated the energy bills for the entire world, shortages including. So in that way, it is self-defeating for the United States if it threatens to destroy oil facilities. As you pointed out, there must be some collateral damage because of the small geographical nature of the island. But these could be quickly repaired because during the 8-year-long Iran-Iraq war, this was also targeted. So after a while, the Iranians were able to rebuild, and oil supplies were removed. Even during the war, they repaired, and they were exporting during the Iran-Iraq war, which was for more than 8 years.
Right.
Yeah.
But, Ambassador Fabium, coming to you, that it doesn't seem that both sides are relenting in any way. Iran also, after this Kharg Island attack, has retorted back saying that we will turn the US military assets into ashes. This is how they've responded. Then US embassy in Baghdad, I believe, has been attacked by drones and missiles. So continuous attacks are happening. So what is it going to lead to? And can we say that this Kharg Island attack is another very serious escalation in this Iran-Israel war, which brings in again a lot of uncertainty?
Well, you said both sides are not relenting. Well, I would say that that is not the best way of putting it, because it is Iran that has been attacked. So there is no question of equivalence. You know, it is not that they started attacking each other at the same time. Iran
Yes.
was attacked first. Iran was attacked when a diplomatic negotiating process was giving results. You see? So there is no equivalence. It is though for Trump to stop firing. And it is my view, I could be wrong, that one of these days, sooner or later, sooner rather than later, Trump is going to declare, quote, victory, unquote, and say, I have destroyed the leadership of Iran, starting with the then supreme leader and so many ARGC commanders. I have destroyed their missile stroke drone making capacity. Their navy has been sunk. And now it is time for the Iranian people to rise up. So if they have to come to the streets and protest, well, I should stop bombing. So I am sort of, declaring victory and now leaving it to the people. Let them do that. I have done what I intended to
No, but
do.
Ambassador Fabian, now the question is that supposing if the oil infrastructure at Kharg Island gets attacked or gets damaged in any way, and what you pointed out, and also Professor Pasha also pointed out that there could have been some collateral damage. Now, if that is the case, how does it impact the global economy? And with the Strait of Hormuz closed, and now here the oil production of Iran, the 90% of the oil production which is happening at Kharg Island, that also gets choked. How does it impact the global economy and specifically India?
Well, as Professor Pasha said, the oil prices will go up, you know, then you know what the impact will be. But let me sort of make one observation. It is not correct to say that the Strait of Hormuz is entirely closed. You know that one or two vessels reached India,
They've allowed
and
two
you
tanks.
know that we have been reading that some of the captains say that we are bound for China, and then they get a passage. In fact, what Iran has stated, of course, Iran has stated so many things. Essentially, what they have said is that they will not let pass through the strait any vessel associated with the United States, Israel, or their allies. Now, the last two words, their allies, are not exactly clarified. You see? So, some movement is taking place. Of course, much, much less. And this, as President Trump also knows, will only push up the oil prices, making it difficult for him to continue this war. And there is one more reason why he can't continue. He is supposed to meet with Xi Jinping, President of China, on the 31st of March. Now, we all know that sometime in 2021, 2022, China signed a contract with Iran to invest dollars 400 billion in energy and related infrastructure, against which China will get oil. As you know, China has been getting oil. It is the main destination for Iranian oil. And also, even from a geopolitical point of view, Russia China axis is very strong. And Iran was getting closer and closer thanks to sanctions. So I personally do not expect a successful or harmonious Xi Jinping Trump meeting in Beijing or elsewhere in
Right.
China if this war is continuing. So, given the two factors, oil prices, the stock market coming down, the Democrats and others, even among the MAGA, telling Trump, why are you sending our sons and daughters to fight for a war which is not of much concern to
Yes.
United States security? Why are you doing it? So my guess is he is going to declare it. And before doing such a thing, it is customary to have a couple of military extravagant exercises.
But Professor Pasha, would it be right to say that if Kharg Island is captured or seized, it will completely obliterate Iran, or it will completely demolish Iran's fighting capacity?
No, I don't think so. Because you see, capturing the Kharg Island will not give you control over the oil, which is onshore
Right.
and near Abadan and Masjid Suleiman, so on and so forth. They may control for a while if they militarily try to occupy that. But you see, if you read the tweet which Donald Trump has written in the very first sentence, it says from Central Command. No, now if they destroy Kharg Island, can you imagine what Iran's reaction will be? And it is again from the US bases in the region which we are being attacked, and their immediate reply will be not only what has happened in Ras Tanura and the closure of gas supplies by Qatar, but if they will feel that if we are being strangulated and our main source of income is being destroyed, and our ally China is being weakened and others, they will not hesitate to knock out the oil facilities on the other side. If we can't export, we will not allow you also to export whose territory is being used against us. So, in that way, Trump is caught in a vicious circle that what he claims to have achieved is counterproductive, and it will hurt not only the Gulf countries, the GCC countries, but also global economy. You see, although America doesn't get much oil except 2%, which is about 2 million barrels, because the world produces about 100 million barrels per day, and America consumes about 20 million barrels. But the prices of oil in America have shot up from less than $3 to nearly $5 in California. So it goes to show not only gasoline prices have gone up, but it will have a cascading effect on the inflation, transport sector, and all-round economy. Because already Japan, Korea, India, and Europe are already reeling under the shortage of gas, and now if prices go up beyond 100 to what the Iranians claim will go up to 200, you can imagine what Ambassador Fabian has pointed out about the world economy, share market, and the recession, and all the upheavals which Trump wanted to avoid to make America great. So it will be self-defeating for President Trump and the US
Right.
to touch Kharg Island, which is the nerve center of
Right.
global oil supplies and the lifeline for Iran. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'll come for the concluding comments, Ambassador Fabian, to you. That I was listening to one of the sound bites of Donald Trump this early morning, which he must have given, of course, late night there. Now, he was saying, and one of the reporters asked him that how long will this war continue, and he happened to say that. It will continue as long as it's necessary. I think Ambassador Fabian has got disconnected. Okay, so okay, he's joining back again. All right. So, yeah. So the question is that it said that he will continue with this war as long as it's necessary. Now, at the same time, there were several reports which said that Marco Rubio is also talking to a number of countries as part of some backroom maneuvering so that Trump can prepare an exit plan. But with this attack on this attack on Kharg Island actually belies. I'm sorry, really about that. But Ambassador Fabian, but all these reports about Trump planning on an exit plan, all these reports get belied when you see this attack on Kharg Island.
I wouldn't say that, because it is conceivable that before you exit, to do certain nasty things. And you mentioned about Secretary of State Rubio talking to other countries. Well, he may be, but I don't think such talks are important. If Trump decides to declare victory, it will be his personal decision.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we'll have to wait and watch. And as we see, the situation is turning more and more volatile. To say that, or to even ask when is the crisis, I think Professor Pasha wants to say something. Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
Yes, you see, within America, we have to note that there is growing opposition, not only among the public and the Democrats, of course, but within the Republican Party, people are now questioning the rationale behind Trump's this war, whose war aims are changing every day. Sometimes it is nuclear issue, sometimes it is regime change, sometimes it is missile thing, and all this has led to confusion, and there are now calls even for impeachment and replacing him with J.D. Vance. This is a very serious thing which has not happened, and if Trump loses this war, and if he continues with his bravado of continuing the war for long, and if people think that this is leading to all-round economic, political, military disaster, I think the safest way will be like what Nixon did in the aftermath of the Watergate, to hand over to Gerald Ford and pave the way for a smoother conduct of the war. And I think that will bring stability not only to America, but to the entire world, which is gasping, which is waiting to know what is it that America wants from this war. And
I
Israel also,
yes.
Israel also is trapped. Israel is also trapped because of the
Okay.
carpet bombing of the Iranian missiles, so on and so forth.
To what you said, I think Ambassador would want to make a brief comment before I wind up. Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
Well, I agree with Professor Pasha almost entirely, but I doubt whether Trump will ever walk out of the White House.
Okay. All right. All right. So we'll have to wait and watch. Thank you so much, Ambassador Fabian. Professor Pasha, thank you very much for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.